Okay, this is Justice for Pauline 5. Please bear with me. I am going to get to an end. I need your help. I need it bad. I started teaching at A.W. Brown during the fall semester of 2002. At that time, A.W. Brown had been rated exemplary by the state of Texas. I thought that I was walking into a dream. What I was walking into was actually a nightmare. I should have known something that was amiss. Mr. William Holmes and I were asked to leave church at the Fellowship Baptist Church of Oak Cliff and drive to this was one Sunday morning, and drive to the school to be interviewed by NBC affiliate KXAS, Channel 5. We would discuss on camera what we did to make A.W. Brown an exemplary school. I had not taught school in the state in 10 years, so I had no idea what was done to make A.W. Brown an exemplary school. Mr. Holmes had taught at Carpenter Elementary, a Dallas Independent School District school, the year before, so he had no clue as to what was done to make A.W. Brown an exemplary school. It never did cross my mind why there were so many other teachers in the audience, and none of them wanted to go on camera. I was in that night on Channel 5. Mr. Holmes talked to the reporter. I was in the background arranging desk. This bit of fakery for the CEO would lead to many incidents of fakery at A.W. Brown. It was so common to have the CEO or principal to use fakery whenever the truth couldn't be exposed. This fakery would be my undoing. One day in the spring semester, I received an answer from a fifth grade student that would begin my invitation to leave A.W. Brown. All year long, I had wondered why my students couldn't perform the same for me as they had performed for the prior school year, and for their teachers the prior school year. One day, in frustration, I asked, just how did you all pass the test last year? Meaning the state test that had won them an exemplary rating. The smartest, most reliable student in the fifth grade raised his hand. What he would say would blow my mind. Mr. Dunn, he said, we got the actual test a few weeks before the day we were to take it, and we drilled and drilled over it. I was stunned. This explained why two students who had been commended by the state of Texas for getting only one answer incorrect on the test the year before, earning them a state commendation from the state of Texas, couldn't read a lick. They could only write their first initial and last name. No matter how I tried, they could just write their first initial and last name. Ask other students if what this student said was true. Each student confirmed what this student said was true. I concluded that A.W. Brown had faked his way to an exemplary rating and taxpayers' money for bonuses for getting that exemplary rating. Now, the way they had gotten there was because now the way they had gotten the test early was because the state sent the test about 3 months early to each school in great big boxes. Schools were on the honor system not to open the test ahead of time. Just like the interview with Channel 5, A.W. Brown had done the dishonorable thing. After this student had told me about the cheating, I knew that I had to cover my tail. The next day, I brought a tape recorder and placed it under my desk. I called students into my classroom individually and asked them about how they had passed the test. They told me. It was shocking. You can find these tapes on YouTube right now under AWB, skip a space, CHT. That's AWB, skip a space, CHT. And you can hear those students. It was enough. That was enough for me to cover my tail just in case. I was a sixth grade language arts teacher. Jeremy Bratcher, who is now pastor of Chapel in the Woods Church on Ledbetter Drive, was a math and science teacher. I told Mr. Bratcher what I was doing. Mr. Bratcher went straight to an administrator. Administration was furious that I was validating their cheating. Mrs. Paula Dunn Brown asked me if I was trying to hurt the school. That summer, Mrs. Laura Middleton, who was a head principal at that time, sent me a contract with probation because of my low fifth grade scores. 67% for the fifth graders had passed, while 100% of the sixth graders had passed the test. I refused to sign the contract. I cited the prior year cheating as my reason for not signing the contract. No more was said about that contract, and I returned in the 2003-2004 school year teaching fourth grade writing. Now, I'm not going to go over everything that happened after I returned, but I'm going to give you one glaring example. In the 2005-2006 school year, my father died 1 week into the school year. So the year started out tough for me. Mrs. Belton, the teacher whose students told me that she had led them in cheating on the state test, had been promoted to principal of grades 4 through 6. We had 2 fourth grade language arts teachers and 2 fourth grade math teachers. Each teacher had about 50 students total to teach. My first class consisted of about 25 students, and my second class consisted of about 25 students. After 3 weeks in the school year, I discovered that I had 13 special education pullouts students in my home room, while each of the other fourth grade teachers had only 1 special education pullout student in their homeroom. I had been set up to have a wild and failing class. I had these students for 3 solid hours each morning. The afternoon teacher had only saw these teachers for the last 30 minutes of each day during dismissal. Other teachers whispered that I had been set up to fail. Now here's what happened at the end of the year. When the tax scores came in, the other language arts teacher had 3 failures on writing test and 3 failures on the reading test for a total of 6 failures. One math teacher had 4 failures on the test. The other math teacher had 2 failures. And the other math teacher had, one math teacher had 4 failures, and the other math teacher had 2 failures. My scores, I had 0 failures on the writing test and 0 failures on the reading test. You'd think I would get a pat on the back. You'd be wrong. When end of the year conference time came around, Mrs. Belton, remember Mrs. Belton? Mrs. Belton offered me a contract with an, ready for this? Improvement plan. That's right. I needed to improve, according to Mrs. Belton. I asked her if any of the other fourth grade teachers were getting an improvement plan. She said no. I asked her, how am I supposed to improve over 100%? Isn't 100% perfect? She was stumped. I took the case to the CEO. He said, ignore the contract. This is just one episode of the harassment that I had to go through after I discovered the school cheated on state test. There were many others, and I documented each one. Now they're harassing me at home. They had my insurance canceled, my mail stopped, turned off my home phone, turned off my gas and had the gas meter removed, stopped my car insurance, changed my mother's will. This harassment happened after I had resigned from A.W. Brown. And it just won't stop. Now they want to take my house. When I'm living in the homeless shelter, will they come down there and hit me with a mop? Please help me. These people need to stop. They're just like whack-a-mole. Every time I get a little bit comfortable, bam, there that head of that mole sticks up again. Bam, here it comes. My nerves are so racked from them that I ended up with Guillain-Barré syndrome from the pressure. Now that can kill you. It killed Tony Dorsett, the ex-football player's girlfriend. I was in the hospital from mid-January 2013 until April. This was, 3 of my limbs were paralyzed from nervous pressure. Yes, things that get on your nerves can affect you physically. I stayed in Manor Care Nursing Home on Burgon Drive in Oak Cliff from April 1st um, until June, learning how to walk again. This was all from Guillain-Barré, which came from pressure on my nerves. Okay, I'm going to stop there. It's been 10 minutes and 27 seconds. Got to stop.